Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you about unconditional love because I made a previous video about getting in touch with your soul, and I just didn't have the ability to include everything in there. But in my opinion, devotion to love is one of the most important practices that you will ever do. So I'm going to share some ways in which I developed unconditional love for myself, and it's still a continuing journey, right? And I believe that this will set the stage for your next chapter in your life. So initially, I realized in my life there simply just wasn't any love in my life. There was no sweetness, there was no joy. I was simply like working, coming home, feeling pretty bleak about it all. So I tried to come up with ways to increase love in my life, right? Because I knew I was suffering. So I went out and bought a rose quartz crystal. Here's another one, or even a crystal quartz, and I will put it on my chest. And what I would do is I would lie there and get very relaxed, and I would start to picture myself from up above doing my daily tasks and giving myself so much love and compassion, as if I'm like this small, I'm this tiny human trying so hard every day and doing my best, right? And then I would start to feel the love coming down from up above, and I felt completely whole and relaxed. And then I would start to think of all of the kind things that I did recently, and that's not to, gloat and inflate the ego. It was to have a sense of gratitude for myself. And then the second thing I would do is I would start to think about all of the kind things that other people had done to me recently, and that was also to hold on to that gratitude longer and to witness all of the love that I did already have in my life, but that I was overlooking. That was a really powerful practice, and it still is. You don't necessarily need the rose quartz crystals, like they're very powerful, but like even just doing the practice to devotion like that, it's really powerful. The second thing that I did is I joined Bhakti Yoga. I didn't know why, but when I was joining Bhakti Yoga, so that's the yoga where people are singing Hare Krishna usually, and I joined it, I felt like so at peace and so calm. And I eventually asked someone like, what are you experiencing when you sing? And they said that they're opening their heart and they're devoting themselves to a higher power. I believe to be Krishna, but it doesn't have to be. It can be any kind of higher power. And that they're doing that and they're feeling the love coming back to them. And that is just such a beautiful practice. And the more I've done that, the more I've had beautiful feelings of wholeness and love within me. And sometimes the love is just so much that I will get like a tear in my eye. That was another way that you do see yourself from up above and see yourself devoted and see yourself in your complete innocence. And it's so important to see yourself that way because we are all innocent. We're all beings that want love, and we're seeking to grow and connect, and yet we live in this world that is kind of very much based on fear and separation, which I talk about a lot in my last video. So Bhakti Yoga, when you can do the spiritual practice around that, and you don't have to join the sessions in your town. It's great to do it because you can feel the love of everyone in the room. But if that's not for you, you can find these videos on YouTube and just practice sitting in your heart. You're gonna have to get out of your mind and practice feeling the love there and envisioning a higher loving power and devoting your singing to them and feeling the love come back to you, knowing that you're so loved, right? And then the third thing I did, and I always talk about this, is I start to feel my feelings. I start to picture them as shapes or colors in my chest. And the reason it's important to do that is to give the feelings a sense of flavor or aliveness within, so that if I come back here, I know have they changed, or maybe they're not even there at all anymore. But often, because we're looping on our minds all week, particularly if we're going to work all week, we lose touch with our feelings, and that means that we kind of abandon ourselves. And this practice is to get more closer to ourselves and to love ourselves unconditionally and stop abandoning ourselves. So I would lie on the couch and ask myself, like, drop your thoughts about what is happening and come into the heart space. What am I feeling? And it's important to be really gentle with yourself here. You can even say to yourself, it's all right not to know. Because the moment you think you have to know what you're feeling, you're going to be running on fear. You're going to clench up. You're not going to feel safe. So it's all right not to know, but then gently say to yourself, whatever feeling first came up, that's right for you, right? And picture it as a shape or color and hold it there. But don't tell yourself stories about that feeling. Don't say like, I'm sad because I work in this blah blah, I have this situation. That's just reinforcing negative identities. You feel it and you hold it. It's okay to be sad. I feel sad. I'm going to be gentle with myself now. Then soon you'll come back and realize it's not there anymore. I have felt it and released it, right? So yeah, doing those three things will really broaden your self-love and capacity to be with yourself through the harder times. And why this is so important is because you're not going to be a vibrational match to unconditional love if you're not first experiencing it with yourself. And I feel like in order to change the world in a positive way, it starts from within. So if more people could grow more compassionate and aware of themselves, that is so important, then they can present that energy out into the world and it will have like a ripple effect. So if you watch this video, I want to say that I believe this is the most important practice on the spiritual path. And if all of those things sound like they're going to take too much time, you can simply, like 10 minutes in the morning, just take a minute to be in your heart and remember all of the kind things that were done to you that week and feel a sense of gratitude. Hold it longer, because whatever you're vibrating at, your frequency, you're becoming a match to more and more of those situations. But you're also going to recognize the loving things that happen in your life if you make a point to hold the gratitude longer for